Welcome back to Seahawk Central Sports. Ben and I are about to kick around some sports topics, so let's get it started. With March comes the end of the basketball season for most collegiate basketball teams, and UNCW's men's and women's teams were no exception. Ben, wrap up the season. What do you think about the women's season and how it went?
The women's season was much better than expected. They were picked to finish last in the preseason poll, I believe. They finished third, 14-4 in the conference. Just missed out on an NCAA tournament berth. If they had beat James Madison last week, I believe they would have got it. They lost by 2 points. Cynthia Cooper-Dyke, they had the women's NIT game this week. They played amazing in the first half, but the pressure caught up to them in the second half, unfortunately. And as Coach Cooper-Dyke said after the game, one more. That's all they wanted was one more game, and that's what they should have got. Yeah,
they got a little tired. It was a long season. It was a long few days, and it was a tough game. And they looked tired at the end there. But you know, it was like
pressure got to them.
It was like you and I said at the beginning of the season. Cynthia Cooper-Dyke was going to bring a new atmosphere to the program, and she did exactly that. She brought a winning attitude, a winning atmosphere, and she let these girls know that no matter what age they are, no matter what year they are, no matter what height they are, they can play with everybody else on the court, and they played that way.
In the country.
In the country, you're right, in the country. And they were never intimidated. They brought their all, and you know, they had drama at the beginning of the season. They had every reason to have an okay season, and they had a great season. They had a great season. We have so many people returning. We got, you know, stars coming back. We lose Martha White, but
and Brittany Blackwell.
Yeah, but we have really talented players.
Kristen Hanser, number 31.
And Cynthia Cooper-Dyke has been out recruiting. She was out today recruiting. We tried to get an interview with her. Season's been over one day. She's already out recruiting, so she did well. Now, men's. What about the men's basketball season? How do you think they did?
Well, you know, after the last game of the season, I shook Coach Peterson's hand and I said, you did a good job this year. I didn't say you did a great job. I didn't say you did the best job you could have done, but they did a good job. They were also picked to finish last. They finished 8th. Disappointing in the first round of the CAA tournament, getting bounced like that. And honestly, I love the basketball team, but they didn't seem that disappointed about it. I would have liked to have seen, you know, Trevor DeLoach, he looked pissed. He looked like he wanted to punch somebody in the post-game press conference. But Tomko and Peterson, they were happy to talk to the media. Yeah. And that's, you know, Peterson, he said the next season will be won in the recruiting war, and we have some great recruits coming in. And so I just hope they can build on it, and I'm really looking forward to next year.
I think the future is so bright for this program. I think Buzz Peterson is a good coach. I think we got to keep in mind that none of these are his players. Not a single one of these are his players. These are someone else's players. He came in. A bunch of them are seniors. He had to coach up guys he didn't know, and he was undersized every game. I absolutely commend him on his job and their job for the season.
Excellent point about them being undersized, and Tomko being the best point guard in the league until Joey Rodriguez showed up. And speaking of Joey Rodriguez, this past weekend's NCAA tournament definitely lived up to the hype, as a lot of people's brackets were messed up. Now, who would you say is the best Cinderella so far? Would it be VCU, maybe Richmond, maybe Florida State?
Well, those are 3 good teams. They're all double-digit seeds, 10s, 11s, and 12s that are still in the tournament.
In the same bracket.
In the same bracket,
Kansas.
too. In the same bracket.
It's very,
yeah, I know. Kansas has an easy road, but that's what happens when you're Kansas. You know, the ball rolls your way. But let's get back to the question here. The question here, there is no question. There is no question. It's VCU.
Absolutely
because
right.
as soon as that selection committee put VCU in, Dickie V, Jay Billis,
Doug Gottlieb,
they were hounding the selection committee. VCU doesn't deserve to be there. If they're going to put them there, put Harvard there, put Colorado there, put Va Tech there. You know, they don't deserve to be there. Yeah, they said outright they don't deserve to be here. And then they went so far as to question the committee as to their selection process. And it's outlandish and ridiculous, and you know what? Good for VCU to prove all those commentators wrong.
Absolutely right. VCU, they beat a 6 seed, they beat a 3 seed, now they get the reward to face the 10 seed. They crushed Georgetown 74-56. Then they beat Purdue, who I had in the Elite 8, 94-76. They get an overachieving FSU team on Friday, which will actually be the first time a 10 has played an 11 seed ever in the tournament.
That's crazy.
Richmond, they had a nice upset in the first round. And then they played Morehead State, who pulled the upset on Louisville. Yeah, so who did Richmond beat? Vanderbilt. You know, that was a pretty easy pick.
That was a good win, but like you said, they didn't have to beat a number 3 Purdue. I mean, preseason Purdue was a Big Ten finisher. Everyone thought they were going to finish.
Jawan Johnson, future NBA star.
I'll tell you what, VCU is beating a 10 seed away from the Elite 8.
You know, and they're upsetting Kansas away from being in the Final Four.
If I'm VCU coach, I'm calling Dickie V and I'm saying, hey, what's up, buddy? What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Shaka Smart. Shout out to Shaka Smart. Shout out to J-Rod, too. Can we call him that? Joey Rodriguez. He had 12 points, 11 assists, 0 turnovers. The Goose Egg versus the Purdue Boilermakers.
Now let's move on to some more hoops. The Duke Blue Devils and North Carolina Tar Heels both barely squeezed by in their third-round opponents to advance to the Sweet 16 this past weekend in Charlotte. The Blue Devils were led by the return of point guard Kyrie Irving and face Arizona, while the Tar Heels were carried by their front court of Tyler Zeller, Harrison Barnes, and John Henson and take on surprising Marquette. So, Ben, who do you think will advance further in the tournament, Duke or Carolina?
I'm going to go with the rare push. They will go the exact same equal amount. I hate to say Duke will go farther, so I won't, but experience does matter. Look at Butler upsetting a team I had in the Final Four in one of my brackets, Old Dominion. You know, that went down to the wire, and the experience of Matt Howard really pushed them ahead. But back to Duke.
Hold a minute.
Irving is back.
Hold on a minute.
We're talking about Duke.
Wait, but did you just say you had Old Dominion in your Final Four?
In one of my brackets, Florida and the other ones.
Okay, all right, let's move on.
All right, Irving is back. He's a difference maker. The other day, I believe he had 8 points. I didn't watch the whole game against Michigan. I would have liked to, but I was traveling. I think he was 8 for 8 from free throws. He had 8 points until the end when he hit the put-ahead shot, right?
Yeah, he actually didn't have a field goal until he made that basket. That was his first field goal of the game. I agree with you. Kyrie Irving coming back was huge. I'm with you too. I'm going to push. I think they're both losing in the Elite Eight. I do. I don't think Carolina has enough. I think they have enough to get past Marquette. I don't see them getting past Ohio State.
Kentucky.
Kentucky's not going to beat Ohio State.
Kentucky will beat Ohio State.
Ohio State is too good.
Kentucky's not getting the pub they got last year. Last year they had 5 freshmen.
I'll tell you what. If any team can beat Ohio State, it's Kentucky because they are athletic and they run the floor, and that's what beats Ohio State. That's how Wisconsin beat Ohio State. They took them out of their half-game offense and they played a full-court game with them. I agree with you. Kentucky can beat them, but I don't think they will. I think they're both losing in the Elite Eight.
Duke Connecticut or Duke San Diego State?
Duke Connecticut.
Yeah.
Duke Connecticut.
I
have Connecticut winning that. I have Connecticut winning that. I like Kemba Walker, baby. Kemba Walker's too tight.
Kemba Walker's a winner.
Kemba Walker's too
We'll talk
tight.
about him in a second.
Speaking
of Kemba Walker, all right, now the player of the year in college basketball is an interesting debate. The 3 leading candidates are still in the tournament. Those are BYU's Jimmer Fredette, UConn's Kemba Walker, and Duke's Nolan Smith, who has snuck his way back into the battle. All have varying reviews on how they will translate to the NBA, varying opinions. But Lucas, which one of these do you think deserves player of the year?
I'm gonna have to go with Jimmy Fredette. I love Nolan Smith. I really do. I'm serious. As a Carolina fan, it's hard for me to say. He had a great season.
He did.
And
his
point guard out after early on in the season, and he stepped up. And they lost a couple games in there, and they didn't win the ACC regular season, but they won the tournament. And he's so good. He had such a good season. The leadership he showed was amazing. Best player in the ACC. But I got to take Jimmy Fredette. I mean, he is a freak of nature this year. He scored 43 times this year. He scored 50 once.
Yep.
He's a freak. He is a freak, and he's going off in this tournament. 2 games, 66 points. He's unconscious.
And he has unlimited range. He can hit it from the half-court line with no problem at all. But I'm going to have to go with Kemba Walker, and here's why. Big East championship game, 5 wins in 5 days, and when they asked him if he could play tomorrow, he said, if I have to. That's all you need to know. But also, let's add to that, 24 points per game this season, 4.5 assists, 5.4 rebounds, 2 steals per game. Yeah. That is an NBA resume. Yeah. He had 33 versus Cincinnati in the second round of the tournament, and he had 18 points and 12 assists versus Bucknell in the first round. He had the game winner against Pitt in the tournament, and the media, they love Jimmer Fredette. I like Fredette. I don't think he's the best player ever. He cannot play defense. We need to point out his flaws. If you can point out Kemba Walker's flaws, I'd love to hear
I'm serious. You're right. That's a great point because Kemba is a very well-rounded player, and like you said, he can drop 33 on you, or he can drop 18 and dish 12 dimes. So he gets everybody around him involved. And when the moment came down, when push came to shove, he's clutch. And the man is clutch. He's like Barnes. He's on fire. In the last minutes of the game, he is on fire. And I agree. I think Kemba could win it too.
Let me make one final point. The media, like I said, they gush over Jimmer. I mean, I thought Vern Lundquist was going to have a Jimmer-gasm the other day against Wofford.
They love him. It's a lot of people they love him. They like seeing guys from places like BYU who are big and strong and can shoot the ball.
Can we say that?
That's true.
The media is predominantly white.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true because, look at Adam Morrison the last time, and Tyler Hansbrough, the last 2.
And J.J. Redick.
Yeah, and Redick. And, Redick was hated by everybody, but the media liked him.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from basketball to baseball. It's almost April, which means opening day is almost here. Ben, what are you looking forward to most about this upcoming season? And do you have any breakout players or teams to look for besides the Texas Rangers?
The Texas Rangers. Can they return to the World Series? Hopefully. It will not be a fluke last season. They have signed Adrian Beltre, former Cy Young Award winner Brandon Webb to fill out the rotation. We have a guy named Yoshinori Tateyama, a Japanese veteran who comes to the States to try to prove his might. We have reigning Rookie of the Year Neftali Feliz and AL MVP Josh Hamilton. And we beat the damn Yankees in New York and in Texas to make it to the World Series.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. You're still on this Texas Rangers.
I was wearing my Rangers shirt today.
This thing was this was October of last year, and you are still riding high on that. But that's fair enough. A team I think you got to talk about every year is the Yankees. They only made improvements this year. Their bullpen is better than
starting lineup.
Their bullpen has been better than it's been in a long, long time.
Yeah,
a long time. And they really look good. Boston made some good moves. I really think the division to watch this year, as always, is the AL East. You got the Rays. You know, they picked up Manny Ramirez.
And Johnny Damon.
And Johnny Damon. So they still got their talent. Boston made moves this year. And I'll tell you who else to watch out for. I'll tell you who else to watch out for. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'm not even saying they're going to close. But the Orioles. The Orioles. Fox for the Orioles right now leads spring training with 8 home runs. Second person with second most home runs is 5. So
who's the catcher?
They have some on point. They have some. I don't know.
Who's the catcher? He's the guy who was on the Sports Illustrated cover last year. He's supposed to be
Brian
MVP.
Roberts?
No, he's a second baseman. The catcher that was supposed to be the next big thing, and he batted like 215, and before they sent him back down to the minors.
Right. Sometimes there's a lot of hype.
The Orioles are not that great, but I love Buck Showalter, former Rangers manager.
We'll see what happens, but I think that's going to be a good division to watch.
Okay, now on to the NBA. The season is almost over with only a month left. I love playoff basketball. The top 4 teams in each conference are clearly ahead of the rest of the pack. It's in the East, the Celtics, Bulls, Heat, and Magic, while in the West, it's the Spurs, Lakers, Mavs, and the Thunder. All of these teams have made impressive seasons, but which team do you think will be the most dangerous come playoff time?
Like you said, I love playoff basketball. It's 2 seasons with the NBA. It really is. I mean, maybe hockey is similar in that sense, but it's 2 completely different seasons. You have the regular season, then you have the postseason. And it all comes down to this. I love it so much. For 40 straight days, you have games every single night. It's the best. I like the Bulls. I really like the Bulls. I think the Bulls are really going to make some noise. I don't know if they're going all the way to the finals, but I can see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're going to pull out that 1 seed. I think they're going to hold on to that 1 seed for the rest of the regular season, and that's crucial. That's really, really crucial, that home court advantage and getting to play the 8 and then, having the easiest road. Out of the West, I think the Spurs are back. I mean, they're old, but I think they're back. They are really playing well. The Lakers are coming good off the All-Star break, but I don't know. I think the Lakers something doesn't feel right about them this year. I think it's the Spurs year.
NBA fans have wanted to see a Spurs-Bulls final since 1995. David Robinson versus Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But I don't think either of those teams will make it. Experience matters most. I'm looking forward to a Celtics-Lakers rematch. The Celtics, they will have to fight. It's looking like right now they're the 2 seed. They would play the 7th. The Knicks are now the 7th. The Sixers passed them yesterday. So a 2-7 Knicks-Celtics matchup. Celtics beat them on Monday night, excuse me. Great game. The Knicks have got to get it together. I'm looking for the Knicks. They might pull an upset. If they're the 6th seed, they'll be playing the Heat in the first round. I love the NBA playoffs. There's so many possible matchups. I'm going to say my favorite right now in the East is the Celtics because of the experience and the bringing in of Jeff Green and Nenad Kristic, who's a former Bobcat. That helps them a lot. Perkins, he's been overrated in the trade machine. I'm going to say in the as the buzzer buzzes, the West. I hate to say it'll be the Lakers. I'd love to see the Thunder shock the world. Westbrook can outplay Fisher.
Everybody loves Durant. Everybody loves Durant and Westbrook. They're fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Special thanks go out to Joe Browning, Dustin Miller, and the Communications Studies Department.
We will be back in 2 weeks with more footage, more news, and more analysis. Have a great week. Don't forget to check us out online at youtube.com/TealTV2010.
And remember to make it out to the Seahawks sports games to support your Seahawks.
Sayonara, Seahawks.